I was really moved by the story of Hazel Mkhize. So we now know about the Mkhize. We must follow that lineage of the Mkhize and the inspiration, especially the words that I used. And I think from time to time, these kinds of sessions don't lead to some kind of deliberate organization. And when I say that, we understand where the formation of and the constituency of the constituting of the Constitutive Act of the African Union itself, the OAU, as part of deliberate organization, with the inspiration of understanding in the main a Pan-Africanist caliber of those in the continent and those in the diaspora. And what is important for me is when you say our freedom is unique. And coming from, traveling the continent, I understand you believe the freedom of children as you see them when they dance or when they exercise their fulfillment of themselves is the freedom of the country or of the people or of the future. Not understanding that that freedom may just go as far as the school yard boundary walls. And I'm saying this because I want to go to the point of the second speaker who spoke about Gohorokundi and sanctions. Yes, we want Zimbabwe's sanctions to be uplifted. Whatever form of force, and I remember I was part of a delegation of the ANC Youth League that went to visit and spend time with Mugabe and ZANU-PF. And we visited at his residence, and one of the things that we spoke about is the approach of ZANU-PF when it comes to exercising force during elections. And there was a commitment at that point that that would not happen. Because, and I want to stress this, if one can prove to me an uncontested, free and fair and perfect election, it would be the day that I would then not have anything to say. Because every person who's contesting an election is not contesting to lose. They are contesting to win. And they will declare something unfair, incredible, uncredible. The reality goes back to a deliberate reorganization of soldiers, of people, of multiple mindsets and ideas that can come together with one message that says, train us, let us go back and take back power if we have to from dictators. And that is the deliberate reorganization that I'm speaking of. It is not for us to be complaining. It's about what we see happening at the ballot. We saw what happened at the last local government election ballot. We can foresee the future of the 2024 national election ballot. And we still assume that, oh no, it could not be fair here, it could not be. The projections are out there. We see what happens on the ground. Many of you in the room are analysts and are considered in that area. So when we speak about, I have the dignity of, that is the ultimate utopia, to have that perfect election. However, just to close, I want to go back to the question or the point put for discussion, the state of human rights in Africa. And I must ask myself whether the state of human rights in Africa does not come before the consideration, not only the scramble, I'm talking about Berlin, the Berlin conference, the consideration of the fact that one, this continent was going to be mutilated, violated, and desecrated by a whole bunch of Europeans from different parts who had their own, and I must stress this, barbarianism that they had imported to this continent. In the name, therefore, when we want to strike a deal and talk about diversity, talk about culture, identity, religion, that which separates us, is indeed a farce in its very It's because they understood a hegemony. Like, who was it that said the Ukrainians came first? It's Fiso. The hegemony that is understood in Europe is not a hegemony that's understood in Africa. So here human rights becomes pertinent as a means to rap us on the knuckle. You're out of order because you can't accept, tolerate, or acknowledge that this right of this person is different to the right of the other. And hence, for the purposes of hegemony versus diversity, we then accede to acknowledging what we refer to as human rights as opposed to equality. I thank you.